All right, what's up, guys? We are live with what I am calling the Joy of Pixels podcast. We finally have a name-ish, sort of. I'm here with my friend, my fellow streamer, YayForNuke. How are you doing
Hello.
today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm excited to be here. Um, let's see. Let's start off with well, I mean, Yay for Nuke. I can't even remember. Do you like Yay for Nuke or do you want Leo?
It's fine both way.
I'm gonna call you Leo. I like Leo.
All right.
Let's let's start off. Tell me, you've been here before, but tell me a little bit about what you do, who you are, and what's going on.
Oh God, I didn't prepare my essay. Well, I'm
I
streaming on
should warn
Twitch.
you, like how this, what I'm gonna ask, but
It's okay. Yeah, I stream on Twitch. I speedrun different games, currently Subnautica and a little bit of Celeste. And I'm learning new games every now and so often. But not only that, I sometimes stream casual games. Like right now, I'm streaming a Danganronpa, like casually.
cool,
This,
awesome, yeah. So let's just jump in and talk a little bit about what we've been playing. Um, Tell me about. So you've been playing Celeste, right?
right. Like Celeste, I think I had it on my list last time I was on this podcast.
I think you
It's
did, yeah.
like a,
That was like 2
it's
months
like
ago.
Yeah, right. Still playing it though. It's a platformer. It has pretty tight movement, and it feels pretty good to play in general. There's like only 3 moves you do: you jump, you dash, and you climb. And then you have your directional inputs, which are 8 up, down, left, right, and diagonal. And yeah, you can do some pretty crazy stuff with it. There's some minor glitches, but mostly you play through the game normally. I speedrun the any percent category. Recently got 54-15, which is great for me, but not great at all in general. Like I'm on the leaderboard on 285 or something when I
That
actually.
still amazes me, though. I mean, because if I tried to run that game, like I don't know,
uh,
I'm terrible at speedrunning in general, but I'm sure I wouldn't even
it,
be on the board.
it's just training. Like it's easy to finish the game. Like when I played it casually, it took me 4 hours or something. And my first speed run, which I didn't immediately start, but about a month later, was 2 hours and 5 minutes. And then, as long as you know the level design, as long as you know the route, and know how to avoid death a little bit, you're going to improve. My first speed run, like the first playthrough, I tried to go as fast as possible. We had over 500 deaths, and my last run was only 121, I think. So I'm gradually improving. The world record currently is at 30 minutes and 13 seconds, which is ridiculous.
How many
Like
deaths on the world record?
I think he has 2 unwanted deaths, or maybe only 1. But it's the world record holder is like the best player in this game. Even to the second place, he has a 40-second lead, and
Wow.
yeah, I think he has over 1,500 hours in the game already, and
And it
it's
just
been
came out
released in
earlier this
January.
year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I've been speedrunning currently. Like I do still run Subnautica from time to time, but I'm taking a little break currently it's not as competitive as I want it to be, which is probably a bad idea for me to stop, because if I want people to play it, somebody has to play it and get people interested in it. But yeah, right now I'm on number 4 in the main category, and I still have like 3 minutes to the third place and 5 minutes to over 5 minutes to the first. I think I could beat the third one if I tried a lot and wait for a really good one, and obviously did a little bit of training. But I don't feel like grinding for the next 50 hours until I get that. So I wait for someone else to catch up to my level so I can get ahead a little bit.
How much? So Subnautica is very RNG heavy on the speed running. How much is Celeste?
Absolutely zero.
Really?
Like,
so it's just pure skill.
Absolutely, yeah. You have the possibility to go through a deathless. There are 2 deaths which save time because you click retry and spawn at the beginning of the room. So if you just play deathless without going super fast, you can get a 45 minute time. But when going super fast, then it's easy to mess up because the speed gets really, really fast. And yeah, that is not easy to do then. If you die, some cycles reset or start in a different time as if you enter a room normally. So you have to learn for each room the normal cycle when you enter the room, and the death cycle if you die and need to retry. But that's about it for RNG, or if it even is RNG, it's more like different movement you have to keep in mind.
Gotcha. Cool. How is it? How is it as just a game? Like
absolutely fantastic.
Really good.
I have a friend who recently picked it up. He's enjoying it like only normally as a game, and I think anyone who likes platformers can enjoy it because the movement is very intuitive and easy to do, and it's really fun.
It's a very challenging game, though, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of. I've seen.
It also has a great soundtrack and many secrets to enjoy. And when you finish it, you can always continue. Like there's so much more to do.
Cool.
It's just getting harder.
I've seen it. I've seen enough of that game that I don't think I could get through it.
It looks definitely.
It looks rough. It looks tough.
It just takes time.
Well, you said your first run was only 4 hours?
Yeah, 4 hours and maybe 30 minutes or something. But I did not discover the secrets, like
Gotcha.
Any secrets.
How have you played Dark Souls all the way through? Dark Souls 1?
No, I did not.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I played it for, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 hours, but yeah. I never had the, I don't know, inspiration to finish it.
Yeah. I was going to try and compare your times for my times, because it took me 80 hours to get through Dark Souls 1.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was with, that was with looking up where to go, how to do things, and also missing like half the game. I didn't even find the DLC the first time.
Yeah,
the,
I mean it's hidden.
the DLC for Dark Souls 1 is, well, all the Dark Souls, but Dark Souls 1 is ridiculous how you have to access it. You have to you have to find an NPC, kill the NPC, and then you have to go back and like kill another creature to get an item. And then when you kill this other creature, an NPC comes out of that creature, and then you have to talk to her. And all this stuff is like, there's no map or anything in the game. There's no like, hey,
Yeah.
go here and do this. Then you have to go to a specific place and get sucked into the DLC. It's bizarre, but I still love that game.
Yeah, I mean it's a great game, and I've seen speedruns of it. Like when Elijah was or Elias, I think it's Elias, was running the all boss category. I think I watched him daily for 2 hours or whatever one took to finish, and it's super great. Like the whole game looks beautiful, especially now since it's remastered. The bosses are fair, but challenging nonetheless. And I should definitely finish it like sometime.
I like that you're like, I should definitely finish it sometime.
Yeah, I don't think I could sit down and play it right now.
Yeah.
It's Dark Souls especially is really slow. I finished Bloodborne. It's much more. I don't know. The combat is more fun to me than blocking and dodge rolling. Like Bloodborne is more head on and yeah.
Bloodborne.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm a massive Dark Souls fan. I'm just a massive Souls like fan in general, but I totally agree that Bloodborne, for me personally, is the greatest combat of any game I've ever played. It's just so good. It's so satisfying. It's quick. It's visceral. I love Bloodborne combat. Have you played Neo?
No, I've only seen it. I did not like the stage select thingy. Like it's not like an open world as in Dark Souls or Bloodborne. It's individual stages. I mean, I've not played it or seen it as much as I could formulate a good opinion on it, but from the get-go that put me off.
Yeah, it's definitely more, although I mean Bloodborne is kind of level-ish. I mean it's semi-open world, but like you can't, there's definitely areas that you can't get to without going back to the Hunter's Dream. But yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're saying. Combat wise though, I think you would like it if you liked Bloodborne. I would actually say the combat is maybe even a little faster in Neo, but Bloodborne is a much better game.
All right.
Yeah, hands down. Neo is great, but you're literally fighting like the 90 hours into the game. You're fighting the same enemies that you were fighting 10 hours into the game. There's not much variation in the enemies.
Yeah, I liked the way Bloodborne progressed from normal wild men to dogs to crazy big pigs and snake people and
Miyazaki, the director and creator of Souls and Bloodborne, he has got something with dogs and pigs. Like they're in all the games. I don't know what it is.
But all the enemies in the Soul series are very creative, and
they are. Yeah,
they vary a lot, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's see. Tell me a little bit about Undertale. So you finished Undertale, right?
Yeah, I can't believe I waited 3.5 years since it released
Has it
to
been
actually
three and a
play
half
it.
years?
I think it has.
Man.
It has been released in 2015. I didn't know exactly when, but it's been a long time, and I've seen a lot of praise, and I've seen a lot of people hating on the community in general because they are um, fixated on specifics, or they don't like the playstyle of let's players, and that's why they hate comment on them or something. And so I was unsure if I should play it, but damn, I should have played it like 3 years ago. It's such a good game.
So
Um,
for anyone that doesn't know what Undertale is, try explain what Undertale is.
it's hard to explain.
It is,
It's
isn't it?
it's like an RPG thingy with a bullet hell element for combat, but um, it is more story focused, and it's full of incredibly funny and random gags. I get that it's not everyone's humor, but it's definitely mine. The music is great. The story is fantastic. There are different ways to approach the game. Like you can choose to not kill anything, or you can kill everything, and it's really, really well approachable on both ends. Like there are two extremes that lead to different endings, and a middle ground that leads to another ending.
Yeah,
And
I was
yeah.
amazed that you could. So I went into Undertale. Well, I should say I haven't beaten Undertale. I got stuck at one part and I just couldn't figure out what to do. But I was amazed when I started looking into Undertale that you can play this game totally without killing anyone.
See, I when I started it, I knew that you could do that,
Yeah,
and I've deliberately decided to do that, and it's been the perfect choice because that
really.
leads to a good ending, and the ending is for the art style and the game depth in terms of that it's been only developed by one guy. It's absolutely amazing. Like the ending was emotional, and the music also only composed by one person. Absolutely amazing. Like I have at least 5 different soundtracks in my Spotify playlist. I have consumed a huge majority of the content produced in the last 5 or 3 years for that game, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. And I've tried to learn the speedrun. I'm definitely not done yet, but it looks really interesting, really glitchy, and really fast. So
That's
yeah,
yeah. Isn't it like 7 minutes or something for the?
no. Like the any percent category or neutral ending has like a 56-minute time.
Oh,
Still,
where did that come out with
it's
7 minutes?
I don't know. Like there are different categories that are shorter, but that is for any percent. And it's not, well, the shortest game, but it is incredibly fun, and the glitches are very, very game breaking, and that is something Subnautica, for example, has not. Like we only use 3 glitches in total. They do break the game and make it possible for us to finish about 30 or 25 minutes faster than the normal game or the normal glitchless speedrun. But Celeste, for example, doesn't use any glitches in the broad sense at all. It's just very, very fine movement that leads to you going really quick.
Those, I think I've said this before, but that's by far my favorite kind of speed run to watch, is where there's no glitches. It's just pure skill.
Yeah, I mean, yes. For example, platformers, I don't know, Super Mario or Celeste in that case, I can agree with that. But other games like Undertale, what is glitched is long, unskippable cutscenes and walking, and that's it. And I don't mind that being cut from the game if it can be achieved with glitch.
Yeah. See, that's why I think Dark Souls is. I know I keep coming back to Dark Souls, but I think Dark Souls is like the perfect speedrunning game because, you can skip all the cutscenes. Well, there's only one cutscene. There's only one cutscene in the beginning, or I guess maybe there's a couple, but you can skip everything, and you can finish that game in under an hour if you're good. Or you can finish it in like 23 minutes if you want to break the game. But I just love watching somebody run that game and do a glitchless speed run. It's really fun.
And the any percent category or the glitches allowed category, there are a few minor glitches, like obviously game-breaking ones, but they aren't the bread and butter of the run. The bread and butter of the run is just the skill, the boss knowledge, the map knowledge, and just how fast they can go through it.
To me, one of the coolest things about watching a Dark Souls speedrun is not necessarily the bosses, because I mean anybody can get good at beating the bosses, but watching them go from boss A to boss B is, and the shortcuts that they find and create, and I guess like you could say some areas may be considered a glitch where they jump to an area that you're not really supposed to get to. I don't know. Do you consider that a glitch or?
Oh, that's an entirely different argument to be had. Like you, my co-mod for Subnautica argues that if the means in the game are there and it could be achieved without any abuse of some sort, then it shouldn't be considered a glitch. But in that case, in Subnautica, for example, we can use the propulsion cannon to fly on objects. I use that in the creative speedrun, and in certain other speedruns, it's or in older versions where we didn't discover the new way to get into the Aurora. It was the only way to get into the Aurora, which is the giant ship that you crashed in, and you need to go in there for a specific blueprint. Flying on, say, a fish or a crab is, in my opinion, a glitch, because the astronaut you play as wouldn't use the propulsion cannon to lift something and lift himself with that, because physics. That's impossible. You can't pull your own hair and lift yourself up from the ground. And that is like a giant discussion to be had, if that is a glitch or not. And in that case, in Dark Souls, you can skip into the Snake Castle by using I don't know what is it, execution, in a certain place, it locks the camera and it prevents the door from loading. That is most definitely a glitch.
Yeah.
But in the DLC, you can skip the entire forest by shoving yourself down an elevator using a monster and using like fall damage remover and then reloading in that specific spot at the bottom of the elevator. You can't just jump down the elevator without being shoved, because otherwise you land on the elevator and spawn on the top again.
I didn't even know about
work.
that one.
Like it's in the all boss category, not in the any percent. And I wouldn't say necessarily that's a glitch, but some people would. So I think in glitchless it would not be allowed.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Well, any other games you've been playing that you want to talk about?
Not necessarily. Like I've been going on for a long time. Tell me about what you were playing.
Well, did you hear No Man's Sky finally came out? It finally released.
Yeah, right. Like 3 years after release.
Yeah, it finally came out of early access, and we've got a full game now. No, so yeah, No Man's Sky. Maybe you haven't heard of this game. It was a little indie game that released a couple of years ago. Didn't get a whole lot of press or anything like that. Not many people talking about it. No, so yeah, No Man's Sky came out 2 years ago, of course. It was a complete disaster. All the stuff that they had promised, nothing was in it. It was just a mess of a game. It literally was like an early access game.
Yeah.
But to the developers' credit, they continue to work on this thing. They've released, I don't know what, 3 or 4 major patches for it. Wait, Old Fart is saying what press it didn't get what press it didn't get wasn't positive. Yeah. Yeah, when it came out, it was not getting a lot of acclaim from anyone. But yeah, they released their I think their biggest update patch since, which was what they called Next, which they did also officially release it on Xbox One, so it's available on PC, PS4, and Xbox One now. But it's incredible how much this game has changed since release. I have always been one that I kind of appreciated the game for what it was. You know, it's a very just kind of, you have to, not everybody's going to like this game. You have to be someone that just kind of enjoys grinding. It's so weird. I think that No Man's Sky, depending on your starting planet, can completely change your outlook of what you think of this game. Because the way it starts is you start on a planet, you're shipwrecked, so to speak. Your spaceship is broken, and you have to, repair it and get back on to your mission, which you don't even know what your mission is. You have to kind of slowly kind of figure that out as well. But I've restarted this game multiple times, and most of the times you start out on a planet that is very hostile. There's lots of different conditions to the planet that will drain your life, basically. And it happens very quickly too. Like when I first, my first restart after this new patch, I got a terrible planet that had like super high radiation. The Sentinels, which are like the little Guardian bots, are chasing after you all the time just for trying to collect some simple resources. And I died within like 5 minutes because like I said, it starts you, and then all your stuff is broken, and it's like, find this to survive. And you're like, what's going on? And so I'm trying to find this stuff, and meanwhile, my health is just ticking down, and I just died. So I restarted a bunch of times, and I finally got a starting planet that was like a beautiful, no hazardous conditions planet, and it just let me explore. and slowly find the stuff that I need. And it would be like, so you've played a lot of Subnautica. It would be like if you were thrown into Subnautica, which you kind of are, but it's not nearly as bad. It's like if you were thrown into Subnautica and it's like, okay, you have to find food and water, but you're gonna die like super quick if you don't find it. And with Subnautica, like they put the stuff right there that you need in the starting area, um,
Yeah.
to kind of slowly ease you into it, right? But
Yeah, I'm in Subnautica. The PDA is incredibly helpful. Like,
yeah,
you start off, you um, collect your limestone, you get copper, you get quartz, you get uh, like sulfur, cave sulfur, and every time you pick something up or you are near something that is interesting, the PDA gives you a notification. And in the start area of Subnautica, the only thing that's hostile are the crashfish and the stalkers.
yeah,
And
and
both. Sorry.
well, I was just gonna say, and I think a big thing with Subnautica is, even though some stuff is randomized, you're always starting in the same location, which is
No.
what is it, the Shallows or something like that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Um,
Somewhere in the shallows.
well,
But
okay, yeah, we're not talking about like speed run strats here. You're basically started.
I'm sorry.
You're started in an area that has most of the stuff that you need.
Yeah.
It may take an extra minute to find something, but we're not speed running here.
No, I
Whereas,
mean, it took me probably about 4 hours until I first left the shallows because I was so scared
yeah,
in my casual playthrough. So
but that's
yeah,
that's great, right?
yeah,
So with
absolutely.
because so going my whole point here is, in No Man's Sky, it's like you can get a planet that will literally kill you within 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah,
And but on the
I
other
see.
side, it's so randomized. You can get a planet that's like a beautiful planet that you're starting out on, that has tons of resources, and you can just spend like hours just exploring that planet. But it seems to me that I literally restarted this game like 20 times just trying to see what would happen on each scenario, and literally one out of those 20 times I got a beautiful, pretty planet to start on. And I think that game would be so much more enjoyable if they started you out on a lush resource planet that's just pretty, and just kind of let you slowly explore and get into the mood of the game, instead of just throwing you in and like have all these hazardous conditions and everything, that just want to kill you just right off the bat. Um, but anyway, long story short, I do like this game. It's a very chill, relaxing game. It's not something that I would probably play for more than like 2 or 3 hours at a time. Um, if I did, I would probably get really tired of it really quick. But it's a game that I think that is fun to just kind of come home after a long day and just, you know, mine some minerals and build a little base, and just find what I always do. I think I've started this game back up after every major patch. I go through a few different planets until I find a beautiful planet, and then I'm like, okay, this is home now. And so I spend my entire existence on that planet. But now you can go off and you can come back. There's a ton of new things in this game. I haven't played a whole lot, but I think I'm going to continue, just very casually. But
I played at the very beginning on release day, and I gotta say I refunded like
did
two
you?
hours in because I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
I was really hoping for anything that this game wasn't.
Mm,
I would have accepted the game if the flight physics or feeling was any different, like a little more fun. you couldn't even get near the ground because the game wants you to either land or fly into
Oh,
space.
man, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that was terrible. Like, you couldn't
Yeah,
even fly, I don't know, you were maybe 50 or 60 meters above the ground, and they just wouldn't let you get any closer. They
yeah,
have fixed that. You can fly, like, right next to the ground now. You can
that's
slow
good.
down. I remember that was a big thing, too. Like, you couldn't I would always just want to kind of hover there, like, looking around for resources and things. You can do that now. Um, they have a whole underwater type stuff now. Looks like
Yeah, I've seen
Subnautica
that.
type thing where you can, like, build bases underwater and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, it's
I I think it's pretty remarkable that the developer was still producing after that amount of time uh, for free. Basically, anyone who bought the game and kept the game was getting free updates, and not just small updates but major updates. Even before next, there were multiple updates where people said, "You guys should check out No Man's Sky. It's not as bad anymore." And
Yeah, so like I said, I tried it out after each major patch, and I still had a pretty bad experience with it after each major patch. There was always something that was still broken. Like there was and I see in there that you put that there's still some issues with save corruptions.
yeah, right.
Which that seems to be a common problem on a lot of games, unfortunately, is save issues and save corruptions. So make a backup of your saves or something. But yeah, after each major patch, they it seems like there was always something. Like I remember the last time I played, this was before the next update. You could finally set like markers on your HUD for something, but then you could never remove them. Like it was things that like you think would be caught in QA, but it's like,
Mm.
do they just not have any QA or what's going on? But this is the first major patch that I haven't found anything that feels like it's early access. Like everything before this has just felt like it's been totally early access. This actually feels like a complete game now. Everything is so much more fleshed out to, instead of just finding like one material or one mineral to fuel your ship, you actually have to build like a refinery now and refine the materials to build your warp cell and things like that. So if you didn't like the original game loop, you're probably not going to like this. But everything is more fleshed out now and feels like an actual complete game. And they still say that they're not done. Like they still say that there's more to do. I hope that the next thing that they do is really work on the fauna, like the animals and everything like that, because they still look pretty janky. Um,
I mean, they are randomized, right?
they are, but um, you know, looking back to like the original trailer, I think everybody looks back to the original trailer, and you have like these Jurassic Park beautiful dinosaurs and creatures that are walking around. I hope that maybe we still get something like that. But
They are on any planet. Like you just have to find them.
in the meantime, we
I
get like Godzilla mixed with a cat or something like that.
I've seen so many good videos when everyone was bashing No Man's Sky on on the Jurassic Park shitty flute in the
Yes,
background, and this T-Rex looking thing with butterfly wings, tiny wings, and he's hovering
yes.
over the ground. It's so great.
I know.
Uh,
That's got to be one of the greatest memes of all time now.
yeah,
Yeah, that will definitely go down in internet history as one of the greatest memes. Um, yeah, just little things like I don't know if you remember when you played, but if you would be out in space and you look at a planet, you could see like continents and things like that. But then when you would fly down to the planet, it would change and look
yeah,
completely different. That's completely fixed now. Like you can actually You can be out in space. You can see a planet. It looks like, let's say it looks like an Earth-like planet where you actually see continents. You can fly down, and there's actual. It doesn't change. Like, it actually looks like you see from space.
I might give it a try, to be honest. Like, I looking back to the original trailer, that was like my dream game. I wanted that game so bad. It's like Elite Dangerous mixed with exploring the planets,
Yeah.
and that's it. It just looks so good to me. But I got so put off by the original release that I couldn't take it. But now it's like 27 euros, and I think you get pretty good game for what you pay. To be honest, 27 euros isn't too much, and I could at least give it a try.
Yeah, I think for what they're charging now, I think it's worth it. Although, well, they're still technically charging full price. It's just on sale everywhere right now.
Oh, is it?
Here in the States, it is. I don't know if it's different over there.
On Steam, it doesn't say it's a sale. I like how I just clicked on it. All reviews are mixed, but recent reviews are very positive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to be something. 81% to 44 in total.
It's Betty Sanchez. What's up, man? I'll pass on that game. I think if this is a game that you were interested in, you probably already own this game. I don't think they're going to convince many new people to buy this game. And that's fine. I think that's probably for the best, because there's definitely people that are going to like this game and still hate this game, no matter how beautiful or how well it works. It's just not going to be for everybody. And that's fine. I think that, like I said, now it's finally at a point to where it feels like a complete game. If nothing else, it feels like an actual working game that has the stuff that they're showing in the trailers and that kind of stuff. So I'm happy with where they're at now. Yeah, here on Steam in the US, it shows that it's still $59.99, and it's on sale 50% off for $30. So I don't know why they don't just drop the price. It seems like that's another thing too. If they had charged like 15, 20, maybe $30 when this game came out, and said it was in early access, then I think it would have looked completely different. But charging $60 for what is essentially an early access game was just terrible. They never should have done that.
The main thing you don't know is that you don't know why it came out the way it did. It was essentially an indie studio that produced the game, and it was backed by Sony. Maybe Sony pushed them to finally release, or they thought they could punch out updates much more quickly than anticipated, or maybe they thought that was enough and learned the hard way it wasn't.
It was just the perfect storm it was the perfect hype storm. Right. There's a bunch of things that led up to the failure and the disaster of No Man's Sky, and there's not any one thing that kind of led to it. I think nobody can deny that Sean Murray and their team, they straight up lied on some things, and but at the same time, I think all these news outlets and people just built this game up and hyped this game up so much. There was no way this game could have come out and pleased everyone. I saw the perfect. It was like a hilarious tweet from Sean Murray, who's the creator designer of this game. It was he retweeted a link from, I think, PC Gamer, that PC Gamer was saying, No Man's Sky is building up hype again, and Sean Murray just tweeted, "Uh-oh."
Yeah,
um,
true.
you know, Spetty Sanchez in chat is saying once it hits free list, I'll get it and play it as a I'm bored game. That would be like the perfect PlayStation Plus, free game, or Xbox Games with Gold game or something like that. That would be a perfect game for that. Although since it
It will
just
take some
launched,
time.
yeah, it just launched on Xbox. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but maybe Sony will put it on PlayStation Plus or something like that.
Maybe.
But anyway, moving on. Let me talk a little bit about Final Fantasy X. Have you played Final Fantasy X?
Kind of. As in, it's an old game, and there once was a time when not everyone had a computer or a gaming console in every house, and childs like myself would visit friends with said consoles, and they would watch because that's something you do.
Yeah.
Well, it's essentially Twitch for 90s kids.
I know.
I watched my friend play it when it was released, and I never played it myself.
Yeah, so I'll quickly just kind of run through my history with Final Fantasy. I never played a Final Fantasy game until Final Fantasy 15. Yeah. So I think maybe that's where a lot of people are at. Well, not a lot of people, but definitely there's a group of people that have, never played a Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy 15 came out. It's kind of a completely different, more Western approach to a Final Fantasy game. In some ways, I mean, it's still very Japanese, but
yeah,
it's not turn-based.
It's
thinking,
not,
it's not, it's still definitely a JRPG, but it's not like a hardcore JRPG. But anyway, I enjoyed Final Fantasy 15 for what it was. I played a tiny bit of Final Fantasy 12 when it came out on the PS4, the remaster. I wasn't really digging it because it's very grindy. There's just a ton of side quests to do and everything like that. But everybody's been telling me Final Fantasy X is like the one to get into. That's a really good one. So I finally bit the bullet and got the remaster for Steam and have been playing through that on the PC. And it's great. I absolutely love it. I'm kind of a newbie when it comes to turn-based games, turn-based strategy. Well, I played tons of XCOM, but that's like, totally different type of turn-based. I played Persona 5. That's really my first hardcore JRPG that I jumped into that was turn-based. So that's really kind of all of my experience with turn-based games. But I really like it. The story is intriguing. There's definitely some old video game tropes that you can tell, like, oh yeah, this was an early 2000s video game. There's definitely some annoyances that I have with it. The buttons drive me crazy because they have B on the Xbox controller is select and A is back. It's kind of the Nintendo style or Japanese style select and back. I constantly forget that. It's very confusing when you're in a battle and you're trying to select an opponent or you're trying to select one of your team members. You would think, like, you have a list of everything on the side. You would think you would just, select down to go to the next team member. Sometimes you have to select over. I don't know why in the world they do that. But regardless, besides all that, I like the game a lot. I like it's fairly linear, which I wasn't expecting. I was expecting there to be like tons of side quests and just all kinds of random stuff that you have to do, but it's fairly linear. There are a lot of random encounters that you go along or that you encounter. I'm not crazy about how many encounters that I've been running into, but it is giving me a chance to kind of learn the combat and master the combat. Um, I'm still fairly early on. I'm only like 15 hours in, and Chad has been telling me that I'm like 10% of the way through. So
all right, yeah.
this is a long game, but yeah, I really like it. It's hard for me to articulate my full thoughts on it, and obviously, like I said, I'm so early on that I'm sure that I'll have more to say. But so far, I'm really enjoying my time with Final Fantasy X, and I can't wait to continue.
How do you like the sport in it? The water balls.
Blitzball.
Blitzball.
All
exactly.
right. Everybody was telling me that this game is going to be like super complicated. I'm going to fail it my first time. I'm going to have so much trouble with it. YayForNuke. I won the championship 2-0 first try. If nothing else, I can say that I beat I can say that I beat that first try. I didn't even think it was that hard, and I think a lot of it was luck, but everybody was saying that was really good. So
Nice.
I was excited about that.
Like I remember my friend had a save especially for Blitzball, so he can do the finals over and over and over because it was so fun.
Yeah, it's bizarre how complicated it is. The tutorial for the game within the game, literally, it probably took me about 45 minutes to an hour just to read through all the tutorials on how to actually play it. There's a lot of math involved where you have to, you have to have like, you have a defender. Okay, so it's basically like soccer, I guess, or football for non-Americans. But you play it in, or maybe kind of like water polo. I guess maybe that's a little bit more accurate representation, but you play it in a giant sphere of water. I don't know why everyone's in a sphere of water. They can breathe somehow in the water. I don't know how it works. But you have a goal on each end. You have, I don't know, like 5 or 6 players on each team. You have a goalie. Your goal is just to get it into the goal. You play 2 halves, I think it is. But the way it works is when you get the ball, one of your team members gets the ball, you try and rush towards the goal. You will normally get stopped by defenders, and then you have to compare their stats with your stats, and there's a bunch of different stats to compare. Uh-oh, I just dropped some frames. I think we're okay, though.
All
right, I think we're back. I just saw it go red for a second. But yeah, so you have to compare all the stats to your stats and like subtract the stats, and then it's like a random chance too that they have between 50 and 150% of their stats. So it's complicated. But I think I just got lucky, and maybe a little bit of skill. But yeah, I won the championship 2-0 first try. So I can only say that I did that. Have you played any other Final Fantasy games?
Oh God, no.
No.
I've started probably a few, like 3 and 4 on the Super Nintendo, I think.
Yeah.
And I've tried to play 7, but that was way after the hype was down, and I couldn't because it looks so damn ugly.
Yeah.
And I get that it's a good game and it has a good story, but I just don't have the nostalgia goggles that everyone else has, and I'm going to wait for the remake. And with that, since it's I think episodical, I'm going to wait for it to fully release and until people tell me it is okay or it's not as good as the original, and then I think about it. But right now I have no interest to sink my time into that.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. Spady Sanchez says, I never played a Final Fantasy game more than longer than 5 minutes. All right. And Mr. Gon says, also tips from chat, to be fair. Yes, chat definitely gave me some good tips. I have to thank Mr. Gon and Old Fart for their help in getting through Blitzball and getting through all of Final Fantasy X. I couldn't do it without you, chat. Yeah, I'm really excited for that Final Fantasy VII remake. I have definitely never played any of the original. I can't see myself playing the original, especially knowing that we have a remake coming sometime. Who knows when that game is going to come out? But
like I enjoy the art style of the Super Nintendo stuff because like pixel art ages better than cheap 3D.
yeah,
And yeah. So I might play one of those again. I think Square Enix is pretty consistent with releasing them to Android and iPhone. So that's maybe something you could play on the go, but still it's a long game too. Actually, I did play a Final Fantasy. I've played Final Fantasy Tactics, which is a grid-based tactical game, and it's I would compare it to XCOM, but it's probably much simpler. But that was a great game, and I enjoyed the combat much more than the traditional combat.
Watching Mr. Gon says watching you play through Final Fantasy X has made me impulse by Final Fantasy IX. Since I've never gotten around to playing it, that one in particular. Nice. I haven't heard much about Final Fantasy IX. I like how all of the Final Fantasy games are their own unique story. You don't have to know anything about the previous ones. That's really nice. True. But yeah, anyway, I love that game. It's probably going to be weeks, months before I finish it, but it's enjoyable, for sure. Other than that, I've been playing, speaking of turn-based games, I've been playing Darkest Dungeon, which is a ton of fun. Have you ever played any Darkest Dungeon?
Yes, I did. It's a great game. It's well, I'm pretty how can I say? I'm really into tabletop RPGs, and that's like playing Dungeons and Dragons with a dungeon master that hates you. Because it's just you level up a character, you invest a lot of time and money and resources into it, and then he dies.
Yeah.
And you just can't do anything about it. Or he gets insane and it renders him unuseful, and it's great. It's absolutely great.
It is. Yeah, it's so much fun to stream too, because you can put all of your viewers in there and watch them slowly die or quickly die. Miraculously, I haven't lost anyone yet. I don't know how. I'm still pretty early on though. But yeah, that's a super fun game, albeit a little bit stressful. But I do like that game a lot. I love the art style of it too. And the narration, the narrator is just amazing.
Yeah, right.
All right, so I'll talk a little bit about The Forest. I actually played this game a couple of weeks ago, but I forgot to talk about it last week. Did you ever play any of The Forest?
I have not, but since I played so much Subnautica, I was definitely interested in The Forest. I never got around to buy it or play it. But I'm interested to hear your opinions on it.
Yeah, so Real quick, Mr. Gon is asking if you played Divinity Original Sin 2.
I have not, but people have been recommending it to me, so I should maybe look into that. The thing is, when you got D&D, which is like the infinity of possibilities, it just depends on how creative your dungeon master is. There's few things that can match that, like having multiple choices up to, I don't know, 8 is great, but having your own idea or your own plan, you can, I don't know, make yourself and just act on that. That's something I don't think any game could recreate accurately without extensive programming, I guess.
I think you should 100% check this game out, because the way that you're talking about that, like, I don't know if they necessarily can give you unlimited options like you're talking about, but I think this game is probably the closest that you're going to get to that. So you can create your character, like you can create your character totally how you want to create it. They do give you starting, like you can pick from a starting pool of characters. There's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different classes and everything to start out with, but you can also completely customize and create your own character. But the number,
I'm just looking at the trailer, it looks great compared to something like Pillars of Eternity. It's much more visual than the text-based explanation of that.
Oh man, yeah, Leo,
definitely going to check that out.
I can't believe that. Well, so all right, let me talk a little bit about. I didn't plan on talking about Divinity, but I've actually really been wanting to get back into Divinity because, what game? I guess maybe Final Fantasy X a little bit has been making me want to play that game. There's a bunch of games that have been making me want to play that game. Darkest Dungeon 2. That game, it came out last year, and
oh really?
Yeah, it came out in like August, I think. August or September. It's been almost a year. I jumped into that game not knowing a whole lot about it, not really knowing a lot about the combat and how it works and everything like that. But I got so engrossed in that game for like a solid week and a half. I played it, I don't know, like 12, 15 hours a day, every day. And it just sucked me in. There are so many different ways that you can do things. There are so many different ways that you can approach situations. It's like beyond complex, but it's so fun to play. I cannot recommend that game enough. The story, the stories, the quests are just fantastic. The world is amazing. Yeah, I cannot wait to go back into that game. I've really been waiting, and you may want to do this too if you want to get into it. In August, they're coming out with what they're calling the Definitive Edition, which is they're completely rewriting the tutorial. I think they're changing the tutorial. They're adding all kinds of additional content to it. I mean, it's fantastic to get into right now, but I've been waiting for that big patch to come out. And
I've to be honest, I've never seen this game before, and I've
really
I didn't even know it existed. And looking at images and at the trailer, it looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah, 100% recommend it. Yeah, Mr. Gon is saying that it's best played with friends. You can play this in co-op too, so you can play it with
Wow.
Yeah, you can play it with up to 4 people. So yeah, it's just, I would love to see you play it and see what you think. But anyway, let's go back to the forest.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like you, I'm a huge fan of Subnautica. I've had a lot of people tell me that the forest kind of has some similarities. So I always wanted to check it out. I jumped in, tried it out. I hate this game. Um,
Great.
um, yeah. So okay, here's my experience with the game. You're on a plane. You start on a plane. You are crashed on an island, or I don't know if it's an island. You're crashed somewhere. You are with your son. Your son is captured by someone, something. I don't really know. This is like the first 30 seconds of the game, so I hope this isn't too spoilery. But you're somebody kidnaps your son on this island or land mass, and no one else is alive. So you have to just survive in this area and try and find your son. So, so far it's starting out kind of similar to Subnautica. You're shipwrecked, crashed. You have to start surviving, figure out what to do. The biggest thing, this is kind of similar to No Man's Sky. So my issue was, you have a notebook, like a survival guide, kind of like the PDA that gives you ways, or gives you kind of instructions on how to survive. It first tells you to build a shelter. It tells you how to build a fire. It tells you how to collect food and things like that. But on the very first day, like as I'm building my shelter, these hostile people show up. These native people to this area show up, and it's super creepy. It's like a really creepy atmosphere. But they show up and they start attacking me. And all I have is a hatchet. And they don't like full on start beating me or attacking me. They just like come up and they'll run up and like try and scare you or something. And so I don't know if I'm supposed to attack them or if I'm supposed to just like go on my merry way building my shelter. But finally one came up and actually hit me. And so I defended myself. I turned around and I whacked him a couple of times. And I didn't know if I was supposed to. I didn't know what the game wanted me to do. I didn't know if I was supposed to engage in combat with these guys. But they just kept bothering me. And so I kept hitting them until I killed them. I killed one of them. And then it seemed like they left me alone for a little bit. And so I spent the night in my terribly formed shelter. I woke up the next day and I had to immediately start searching for food and water and everything like that. But then these guys show up again, and they just keep showing up and keep attacking you, and it's so frustrating. I just want to explore and just try and find my son, but they just keep bothering me.
So essentially, it's like if the safe shallows were constantly raided by a hostile fish.
Yeah.
That try to eat you.
Yeah.
And only you specifically.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, and so I don't know, but I think that this is all scripted. I think that they're supposed to attack you, and I finally just kind of gave in and just let them kill me because it was so annoying. And it seemed scripted because then and again, this is like 2 hours into the game, maybe even less. This was on like the third day. They finally there were so many of them. They attacked me. I thought they killed me. Well, it didn't look like they killed me. I woke up and I was being dragged into this cave. So I think it was just scripted that they are just supposed to show up and just annoy you until they beat you, and then they capture you, bring you to this cave where you start to find out a little bit more about them. I started to explore a little bit more there. They showed up again. They started attacking me. They finally just killed me outright. And that was it. It was like, it popped up and said, "Game over. You survived 3 days."
Oh,
And
wow.
I don't know. I just didn't want to go back, honestly. That's it. If the game had done this, it has an interesting premise that you crash land. Your son is taken by this mysterious being, and you have to find your son. That's an interesting plot. If they had given me like at least 4 or 5 days, maybe a week on the place just to explore and kind of get my bearings and kind of slowly uncover what's going on, and then maybe like on the 5th or 6th day you start to see them show up, then that I think would be much better. But for them to just
Yeah.
to show up on the very first day and you have no idea what's going on, like you're just starting to figure out how to build a shelter, or just starting to figure out how to chop a tree down. They show up and they just start beating on you and just annoying you. I don't know. I know so many people like this game and so many people have given it praise. So I feel like maybe I was just playing it wrong, or maybe I just had the wrong expectations. I feel like it's trying to be a little bit more of a horror game too.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go back to that game. I really wanted to like that game, but just the way that it introduced the enemies, I really didn't like that.
Yeah. I don't think I would like that either. I'm spoiled by Subnautica. It's such a great game,
Yeah.
and I haven't played much else in the survival genre. I think everything I will play will be a downgrade, except for the DLC that will come out sometime
Oh, I can't wait for
next
that.
year, maybe.
Yeah. I think so many people could learn from Subnautica, because I'm very similar to you. I've never really been into survival games. I've tried to. I want to like survival games, but my experience with most survival games is they put you in a world and then they're just like they say now survive, and they don't give you any direction or any real impetus to survive other than it's a survival game and you have to continue to eat food. You have to continue to, drink water. Actually, you know what? I've got a recommendation for you. I think you might like this. I forgot about this game,
Want to
but
write it down?
there's a game called Miasmata.
Oh, I've seen a friend of mine play it on Twitch. I, I only saw a little of it, but it looks like a walking simulator.
Um, it's definitely not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's a really good game. I can't believe that I have forgotten about this game. I kind of want to go back and play this game. Um, yeah, it's called Miasmata. It's Miasmata, and it's a game. So it's a survival game. Um, I know it looks like a walking simulator, but you definitely have a very set, specific sort of a specific set of goals. You are infected with a virus, and you're put on this island to die, and you slowly start to uncover that somebody else was working on a cure for this virus, and so you start to go throughout the island and figure out a cure. So you have to collect plants and different. You have to like do chemistry stuff to uh, figure out this cure and finally cure yourself and get off the island. Um,
Mm.
it has a really interesting way of, which I wish that Subnautica would have done something like this. It has a really interesting way of uncovering the map. You actually have to triangulate stuff. So you explore this island, you get up high, and then you see a feature, like a feature of the island. So you can see that, and then you can mark that on your map, and then you have to go to another location, and like you look at that, and you actually triangulate it, and then it uncovers part of the map. It's really really cool how it does that. Um, it's definitely a little janky. I think it was made by two guys, like two brothers.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I would definitely recommend that. I would like to hear your thoughts on it if you ever check that out.
All right.
Buy it on
I'm
sale.
putting
Wait,
it
wait,
on my list.
wait for it to go on sale for like $5 or something like that, and get it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that's a little bit. Well, we talked a long time about what we've been playing. I didn't expect that to go that long. That's good because we don't have a whole lot of news. We,
Right.
we already talked about No Man's Sky. We'll kind of skip over that. Very quickly, I'll talk about. Did you see this mod for Fallout 4, Fallout Miami?
I did not. No.
This, all right. This thing's probably never going to come out because you know how these things go. But this thing looks incredible. Let me throw this up on the screen. This, they're making. I don't know if you guys can hear this. Oh, that's really loud. So yeah, they're making a mod. I don't even know who this is, but they're making a mod for Fallout 4 that it legit looks like a next Fallout game, and it's set in Miami. Voice acting's probably going to be a little rough.
Started on those slaver schmucks.
Like always.
Yeah.
Sandstorms.
But it looks incredible.
Beautiful.
If this ever comes out, I will play this thing. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Just throw that in there. I mean, I guess there have been some huge mods come out for like Skyrim that people have made. So maybe this mod will eventually come out, but I imagine this is probably years away.
Yeah, most of the time, the people developing mods, they have no way to monetize that other than having like the publisher outright help you or produce the content, but that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen with Bethesda.
Like Bethesda wants mods to be paid, but not like they don't want to be paying them in advance, and that yeah, definitely not.
But anyway,
but yeah, there's been a great deal of mods that are amazing, and they enhance the game, but story and extensions of the game or expansions sometimes, that's kind of rough.
Yeah, there's been a couple for Skyrim. Indoril was one. And then like Valenthar or something like that. I know there were two major overhauls for Skyrim that were basically whole new games that were very well received, actually. So maybe it'll come out one day. It'd be cool. I love Fallout.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Fallout, we have Fallout 4 beta, or no, not Fallout 4. I don't know why I put Fallout 4. Fallout 76. Their beta, they announced, is going to come out in October. I think everybody was expecting that this was going to come out a lot earlier because the game launches in November. So this is basically just going to be a stress test for them. This is not going to be something, I don't think that they're going to have many options as changing things less than a month away.
Yeah, probably.
I still don't know what to think about Fallout 76. I'm going to go in with low expectations and just hope for the best.
Yeah. That's probably the best way to go into that. My girlfriend, she plays the Elder Scrolls Online, and she is pretty happy with it.
Really?
So they can make a decent MMO, and if that's the kind of approach they are going to be taking the MMO to the Fallout universe, that might work, but I don't know how well they can do it. And
there's no NPCs in Fallout 76.
Oh god. So
yeah,
it's basically Rust.
Yeah, I haven't played Rust, but I don't know.
It will have base building, I assume, like in Fallout 4.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big thing of it. You can play with your friends and build a base. And
there will be monsters, right?
Yeah, there will be monsters. I think all of your quests come from either computer terminals or like the little robots in the game. But
I don't know what to think about that.
yeah,
I haven't informed myself at all. I'll see what it will be once it's out.
I mean, they
I'm
say,
definitely going to check out some streams, but
yeah, they say that you can play, that you'll be able to play by yourself, play single player, but I just can't imagine it's going to be very fun. I mean, you can play Elder Scrolls Online by yourself, but to me, it's very boring.
yeah.
I've tried to give Elder Scrolls Online a chance, and it's just not for me. It's like it's just the most boring quest. It's literally just you take a quest and it's like go collect 12 of these plants and bring it back here, and all the time there's like all these people running around ruining your immersion.
Yeah, right.
But
There's no comparing between something like Skyrim or even Oblivion to Elder Scrolls Online.
yeah,
Because you are the center of the story, and in the MMO you are just a guy or a girl
right.
that does some fetching.
Yeah. But I think the biggest news this week is there's some pretty big rumors coming out about Microsoft and their next generation of consoles. So it looks like this is coming from Thurrott.com. Paul Thurrott is kind of a legendary reporter on Xbox, or well, on Microsoft in general. And he usually gets these things right. So this is a rumor, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is not confirmed before too long. They're talking about the next generation of Xbox hardware, and it looks like there's going to be two models. There's going to be the kind of what we're used to, the big beefy console that'll play all your games and everything like that. But then there's also going to be a streaming console. So essentially it's just going to be a device that the games are streamed over the internet to this device from Xbox servers. Now, nobody has gotten this right so far. Lots of people have tried to do this, and it works, but it's not great. There's input lag. I just can't imagine anybody ever playing a streaming game for like a fighting game or something where you have to be super accurate. Probably even a game like Celeste where there's just lots of
no way
precise jumping and everything like that.
Like my TV is pretty bad. It's not designed to play games on. I think there is like a tiny amount of input lag there, but it makes me hate playing shooters or any kind of precise movement. Even I played Witcher on my TV on my PlayStation, and it had really and kind of input lag that my girlfriend doesn't even notice or care about, but it bugs me so much that I can't play that kind of games on my PlayStation. And having that streamed over the internet, I can't imagine. Like PlayStation Now is something I will stay away from forever because it doesn't work. It's like it's supposed to work. I can't assume that Microsoft will be able to deliver on a good product that works 24/7 for anyone with a stable internet connection, that is just as enjoyable as having it rendered and made with your own hardware at your house.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I personally don't notice input lag nearly as much as most people do. I don't know why that is. I've never been someone that's like, you know, I have to have a 60 frames per second or I can't take it. Now, of course, frames per second and input lag are different things. I should mention, but I don't notice, like, if I'm playing on a TV, I don't really notice the input lag. Even if I'm doing something like streaming to Steam Link, I don't know if you've used one of those or anything like that.
Never.
I guess I can kind of notice it, but it just doesn't really bother me that much. Now maybe if I was trying to play like Dark Souls or something like that, but for most casual games, well, for most games that I'm going to play like that, they're going to be casual games that is just like, you know, an exploration game, or like, I don't know, like a Telltale game or something like that, you know, to where you don't have to have super accurate timings and everything like that. I think a lot of it is I'm just really bad at video games. And so I don't notice the small amount of input lag and things. But regardless, saying all that, I can't imagine for hardcore gamers they're going to be getting this thing. I think this is going to be geared at the casual, you know, side of gaming. And I don't know, maybe they'll be successful. If I think this is going to depend on the price point a lot. If this could be like, I don't know if it could be like $100 device, maybe $150 device. I think it's really going to depend on that price point. And I imagine too that they're going to be pushing their what's it called? Their monthly service that you can pay for, that you get 100 games or whatever. You know, they'll be able to just stream all those to you. You know, that could be pretty enticing to somebody who's just kind of a casual gamer. But again, I don't think that many hardcore gamers are going to be going towards that. These aren't expected to release until 2020. So we've still got a year and a half at least until these things come out. But you can only go so fast. You can only go the speed of light. And you know, for people like you and good gamers, you're gonna notice that input lag, I think.
I have a ping of 28, and that's pretty fast, I think. And my monitor I'm using with my PC has a 1 millisecond input lag, or display lag. I don't know what it's called actually, but that is really quick and how I want it. And I don't know if anything above that, like there's 5 millisecond input lag, and that is already tearing a little bit.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and the thing is, unless Microsoft puts a server that's within 50 miles of your house, then I don't think that you're going to get that input lag or that ping down low enough, because you can't go faster than the speed of light, and the speed of light is fast, but it's not that fast.
Yeah, right.
But we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's pretty much it for the news. Not a whole lot. We'll just go ahead and run through the releases really quick. You can stop me if there's anything that jumps out, or I'll mention anything that jumps out. On July 31st, that's tomorrow, we've got Graveball for the PC, Titan Quest for the Switch. Chasm. Have you heard of Chasm?
I watched the trailer in advance. It looks fantastic. It definitely looks like a game I would like to play. The art style is fitting. The setting looks great. It has to boil down to the gameplay if I enjoy it or not, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's a Metroidvania type game that this game has been in early access for years. Like, I want to say 2014, somewhere around then is when this game first came out. And if you're into Metroidvanias, pixel art style, I think you would definitely like this game. Hopefully it's good. I don't know if any reviews are out yet. But that's launching for PC, PS4, and Vita too. I thought it was coming to the Switch, but I guess not. Maybe later. Rend for Steam Early Access. IRO Hero or Iro Hero. Never heard of that. South Park: The Fractured Butthole. Bring the Crunch DLC is coming out. 1979 Revolution Black Friday. What is that?
That's like a Telltale game kind of
Okay.
thing. I don't know. It looks meh.
It's not made by Telltale, is it?
No, it's not. But
Just
it
that
has
that
the
style
same
of game.
Style. Yeah, right. Recently, I played the Life is Strange series, the Before the Storm to be exact. Life is Strange is everything I want from a Telltale game, but better.
Yeah.
Because from Telltale, I really, really enjoyed The Walking Dead Season 1. It was a great game. You had emotional, connection to all the characters, even the kind of dumb ones. And the second season, I played 2 episodes of it, and I just can't get into it.
I was the exact same way.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they are now in season 4 of.
I think so.
This
is the final season. Like they're saying this is it.
Yeah, but maybe it's because I don't like the TV series anymore either.
Yeah.
Like I watched probably 5 seasons of it, and I just can't take it anymore. It's just. It's not that it's bad. It's just that it's always the same.
Yeah.
And it's maybe the zombie genre in general has taken its toll on me, or
I think
just
the
not
zombie genre has
interesting
taken a
anymore.
toll on a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's always been this problem with Telltale games, and Mr. Gon is saying that he finds it hilarious how Telltale games has become the genre of the name. That's true, it has. But yeah, I mean, I wonder too how well The Walking Dead season 1 holds up. Like if we've played, all these Telltale games, and like Mr. Gon is saying, it's literally become a genre now. I wonder if you went back to The Walking Dead season 1 after playing all these other games and knowing what you know now, after playing Life is Strange, if you would still think it's as good as you did back then.
I did went back and I played it again, and it is fantastic still.
Yeah. Okay, good.
The story is good. The engine is horrible. It's laggy. Yeah. It is unintuitive and it's slow. But the game and the story holds up incredibly well.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Is the story is really, really, really good in season 1, and what's the main character's name? Lee. That's right. Yeah. His, the season 1 is really his story, and I won't give any spoilers, but the way it ends is just so impactful, and heartbreaking, but it's done so well. But I think the biggest problem with Telltale games is they have this illusion of choice, where it looks like you're affecting outcomes of things, and it's really like in the end there's only 1 or 2 endings.
Right.
But Spetty Sanchez is saying, speaking of Telltale, anyone excited for Joaquin Phoenix Joker Telltale movie? I haven't heard about that, Spetty. I'll have to look that up. Telltale movie? That's interesting.
But compared to Life is Strange, it plays incredibly well. It is produced by Square Enix, and it shows. The story is just as, if not more emotionally gripping. You can really get into the character of Max or of Chloe in the prequel, and it has better soundtrack. It has in my opinion,
Oh, it's a really good soundtrack.
Yeah, absolutely. The choices just the same. They don't really matter in the end, but in the gameplay, it's not about the end in the game. It's just about experiencing the story, and in that case, the choices do matter.
If you want a game where the choices matter, go play Detroit.
I will eventually. I'm waiting for my capture card. I will get that later this year. But I want to stream it, and I really hope for a good story. I haven't played or seen anything about it yet, except
nice.
for the memes, I guess. Like when the android is painting something and it's exchanged like in all the fun ways.
I haven't seen that. I think you'll like that game though. That I can definitely say that game will give you many different choices, and they will definitely affect your outcome. Is Detroit really a game? That's a good question. I think it is. It depends
I'm playing Danganronpa right now, which is literally a virtual novel.
Yeah.
And Detroit is just the same, but animated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed Detroit a lot. I got a really, really bad ending with Detroit, but yeah.
I mean,
gives me a reason to replay it.
That's also the thing. I mean, I enjoy this movie type of games. Like I also enjoyed what is it called, Until Dawn, which is
I loved Until Dawn.
Yeah, it's also just a movie with I don't know, quick time events or a little bit of choice.
Yeah, but it's like an interactive movie. It's if you enjoy a good story and just a fun experience, but it's even more than that because you get to. It's hard to describe. You get to even a game like Detroit, you really do get to make your choices, and they really do matter. But even like what is it? Danganronpa?
Danganronpa.
Yeah. What?
Danganronpa.
Whatever it is, even if it's a visual novel, it's still something because you're engaged in it, and you're even if you're just clicking next, it's like you're still engaged in it.
Yeah, especially I'm playing the second run right now, and all the characters have incredible depth to it, and you can spend time with them and learn more about them, and it's really good. You especially since I do all the voices when I stream, you really get into the character, and it's great. In the end, there is definitely no choice there at all. It's a linear story, but it is what it is, and I enjoy it just how it is. So, yeah,
it's fine either way. Yeah, Old Fart saying, since I don't have a PS4, I could only watch Detroit. Luckily, I think it's just as good to watch as to play. That's what makes me think it isn't really a game. Yeah, I mean, from your perspective, it's almost like watching a movie, but someone is still playing that. So from their perspective, it is game. But that's an interesting topic that we could talk about sometime. Anyway, let's continue on with the releases.
All right.
August 1st, we have Yakuza 0. Have you played any of the Yakuza games?
Not at all.
Any interest in playing those?
Maybe. I mean, they look interesting, but I guess I have to see how it plays on the PC. I don't know. I'm not looking to buy it, but maybe it will come to me sometime, and then I'll play it.
Yeah, I should have mentioned this has been out. Well, Yakuza 0 has been out for a while, but this is releasing on PC. I've got it on PS4. I started it a while back, and it's a very, very slow start. But I've heard amazing things about this game. It's also a really long game, and there's so many long games that I want to play that are like 50 plus hours. Moving on from there, we've got Star Traders Frontier. We've got Zik, Z-I-Q. I don't know how you pronounce that. For PC, that comes out August 1st. August 2nd, we've got This Is the Police 2. Flat Heroes for PC and Switch. Armored Warfare for Xbox One. Oh, Salt and Sanctuary for the Switch. Have you played Salt and Sanctuary?
I haven't, but it's definitely on my list.
Ooh.
It's like 2D Dark Souls, right?
It's 2D Dark Souls. It's 2D Dark Souls Metroidvania. It's really, 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 really good. I am buying that as soon as I can get it on the Switch. I bought it on PS4, and then I bought it on PC, and I'll buy it again on Switch. I don't even care.
It's that good.
It is that good.
Nice.
That's another game that's made by 2 people, a husband and wife. It's incredible. Yeah, I can't recommend that game enough. All right, well, I think that's it. I said this was going to be a short podcast, and it's like 2 hours.
I mean, we had a lot of stuff to talk about, right?
We did, yeah. Man, YayForNuke, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
Let's I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't talk about or mention? Feel free to plug your Twitch and your channels and tell us what's coming up this week, what you're doing, what you're going to be playing. More Celeste, I imagine.
Right. So you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/YayForNuke and on Twitter at twitter.com/YayForNuke. I have a schedule that is only 2 times per week, but I'm pretty consistent on that one. I play on Thursdays, mostly speedruns. Like I'm unsure what I should play on Thursday. Maybe Subnautica, maybe Celeste. But I think I'm going to take a break from Celeste until I get an Xbox One controller, because the layout of the DualShock 4 is terrible. You have to use the D-pad, and you always have your thumb stretched in an awkward angle. And Xbox One controller is probably much better for that. So either Subnautica, maybe Celeste, or if I get around tomorrow or on Wednesday to learn the rest of the Undertale run, I might just do a single segment Undertale run to set my first splits to improve on. That depends if I have the time to learn like 4 different skips in the run. And then on Saturday is my Danganronpa day until I finish the second game. So that's going to be amazing, because there was just a murder, and we'll see. We have to do our investigation to the end, and then the class trial comes up. So that's always fun.
Watching you play this game is pretty hilarious. You do all the voices, executed perfectly.
Yeah, true. Now, I mean, like the incredible voices that are extreme, like the extremely high and the extremely low voices, are mostly gone now. So I got the middle ground. They have a few characteristics I try to give them, but it's not as noticeable as having someone talk really, really low or someone else really, really high. But yeah, it's still a blast. I still enjoy it very much. And I think on Saturday it's going to be a long stream because the class trial always takes like at least 3 hours. And people said to me, the later you're on the game, the longer the trials take. And I still have the investigation to do, so that's going to be, pretty long. But yeah, that's it for me.
Cool.
Not much else.
I've probably asked you this. Have you played Persona 5 or 4, any of the Persona games?
I have Persona 5. I just don't have the time to sink into it.
It's a long game.
I finished the first Palace, but I haven't played much after that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Awesome. Well, we do this podcast every week. I am trying to kind of just rotate throughout guests right now. But we do this every week at 1 p.m. Central Time here on my channel. I stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm currently playing Final Fantasy X for probably the next year or so. No, I play a variety of different games. I just love all games in general, except for multiplayer games. No, I wish I could get into a multiplayer game, maybe one of these days. But for the most part, I just enjoy a good story in games. And yeah, I stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays here on twitch.tv/HAL451. And we'll be back next week. I'm not sure who my guests will be, but it should be a lot of fun. So until next time, God bless and happy gaming. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.